This is game 2 of Mana against Marcop. Marcop's going to be leading Zapdos, and Mana has Zapdos as well, so this is the Zapdos stare down, an absolute classic of Advance. Now, what these two Zapdoses choose to do against each other might tell us a little bit about each player's team. For example, if they're physical or mixed offense, you know, the kind of thing with offensive Swampert, then they're probably going to try and trade T-Waves early because paralyzing Zapdos is so valuable for that kind of team. However, if they have good switch-ins, for example, a Blissey in the back, then they'll probably just go to that and conserve Zapdos later on. So we'll see what each player chooses to do in this matchup. Marcop switches, goes to Celebi, Mana switches, and goes to Blissey. So both very natural Zapdos switch-ins there. And Blissey obviously doesn't threaten Celebi, so Celebi's going to get a turn to Leech Seed or do whatever it wants, which is actually a Calm Mind. And this Flamethrower for 33 tells us quite a few things. Firstly, that Celebi is offensive in its EV spread. Secondly, that Blissey itself is modest. And thirdly, that because Celebi is offensive and also comfortable just setting up against a Blissey, that it's baton passing these Calm Minds, as opposed to being, say, a Super Celebi, which would just lose to Blissey in this situation. So Celebi might set up some more Calm Minds, and Mana might think about switching. Okay, so Mana's just going to stay in and Calm Mind himself, actually. So that's interesting. Flamethrower, Calm Mind. That's a pretty old set. You don't see that much anymore. And I think Mana is not in a great position right here because Celebi is ahead in the setup game and it's really threatening to pass these Calm Minds to something that could do pretty well against Blissey. For example, a mixed T-Tar, or even or some other kind of mixed attacker. This Flamethrower Blissey, its last move is probably HP Grass, which means it actually defends quite well against mixed Pert and mixed Metagross, of course, because it's got Flamethrower. So we'll see what this Celebi wants to pass to. Celebi gets another turn of setup, so it's at +3 now, and Flamethrower gets a burn, which is notable because Celebi can't really stay in much longer. One thing that's a little bit interesting to me is how comfortable Marcop was just staying in with Celebi in this initial sequence, as opposed to maybe trying to scout for a hard Dugtrio, but on this first turn that Blissey Calm Minds, for example, that he's comfortable pressing Calm Mind, which suggests that he's maybe got a Dugtrio of his own to follow up after the HP Bug kill, which might make sense. So anyway, we'll see what Celebi wants to pass to right here. And it is passing to, Dugtrio. And Blissey just sets up Calm Mind, and I believe that is a very, very dead Blissey. Earthquake for 60, Adamant Dugtrio, and Hidden Power for 59 from the +2, which tells me that Marcop's Dugtrio there was totally safe on that baton pass turn, because even if Mana manages to call that it's going to be Dugtrio on this exact turn and goes for HP Grass, it's not going to be enough to 2-hit KO it at just the +1 that Blissey was at that point, and it's a safe 2-hit KO. So the removal of Blissey is just absolutely huge for a team that's trying to pass around Calm Minds and presumably has some other special attackers in the back, maybe a Starmie, a Swampert, for example. So Blissey's going to go down, and that is a fantastic position for Marcop. And Mana is going to follow presumably with Zapdos, Yeah, there is Zapdos. Worth noting that during this whole Celebi Blissey trade, the Zapdos went, or rather, sorry, not the Zapdos, the Celebi went low, it went down to 43. And these Carbon Mind Pass teams don't tend to have a Blissey or a Snorlax, so Mana's Zapdos could actually do quite well from this position, potentially. So Dugtrio is obviously going to get out. I don't think Marcop's going to want to switch in Celebi here. Maybe he'll just show something new. And yeah, that is T-Tar. T-Bolt doing 38, which says, okay, Tyranitar is either bulky or Zapdos just doesn't really have much special attack to speak of. So, as for what T-Tars could be bulky, if we're assuming it is a bulky T-Tar, there are three possible sets really. There's Pursuit Tar, which would run max HP. There's the BKC 4-attack Focus Punch Tyranitar, and there's also some kind of very tanky DD Tar. And I sort of think Mana definitely has to respect physical Tyranitar here and switch Zapdos out, especially because Zapdos looks so good for Mana at this point. Because T-Tar can't come in again, Celebi is very low. So I think Mana is going to want to keep Zapdos around and respect the physical Tar. Yeah, so there's Swampert from Mana, and Marcop makes a nice play knowing that Mana's going to want to switch, keep Zapdos nice and healthy for later on. Yeah, worth noting it's EQ, so could mean, in fact, it almost definitely does mean the BKC Focus Punch T-Tar. And one thing nice that Marcop did there that I see a lot of people making a mistake with is going for Earthquake, predicting the switch, as opposed to Focus Punch, because Zapdos could, of course, have Baton Pass, and after you see the tightening its Focus trigger, Focus Punch is pretty useless. So, pressing EQ is nice. So, what does Marcop want to do against Mana's Pert? Well, definitely get out, I think. T-Tar is still pretty useful. Maybe he wants to give Celebi up to an Ice Beam, potentially, or just switch Zapdos in and take a hit. And I think Mana should, if he's got Ice Beam, definitely try an Ice Beam, predicting a switch here. So this is Celebi from Marcop, and Mana Hydro Pumps, can't call the switch. So Celebi is alive, and Celebi is of course threatening Giga Drain now, which would just be devastating against this Swampert. So Mana respects that, goes to Zapdos, and Celebi Calm Minds up. So he's going to have a chance to Baton Pass that again. And Celebi's faster, which is worth noting, which would make Zapdos modest. And I can actually pretty safely say Celebi's faster, and it's not just, say, a speed tie, for example, because Celebi here would be running HP Fire, which drops a speed IV typically, which means that if Zapdos was timid, it would be definitively slower. And we see from getting Sand and Leftovers first that it's not slower, definitely, which means that it's faster and is going to be able to get off this Baton Pass. So maybe Mana's got Raw to deal with it. Or if Marcop has Psychic, he could just potentially attack and play around Raw and take the Psychic damage on Zapdos, which I think would do pretty well. Actually, I said modest, but Yeah, I think it is modest. I haven't sort of calculated in my head, but it did 38 to what seems like a really tanky T-tar. So I think maybe that T-bolt was a low roll. So yeah, the reason why I say okay, could it not be modest is I'm just wondering if it could be just defensive maybe, and as such psychic it wouldn't be as useful. So we'll see what Marco wants to do. Baton pass. BP into his own Zapdos. And yeah, hidden power for 38. That is definitely a modest Zapdos. 38 against a boosted Zapdos. And we'll see, is Marcop Zapdos gaining Sand and Lefties faster? Yes, it is. So it doesn't necessarily confirm it's timid, but very much supports the idea. So Mana went for HP Ice, which suggests maybe just doesn't have Raw, because I think Raw is what you want to do there. And I think the Zapdos is threatening to T-Wave. You might see on this turn a T-Bolt from Markup Zap into a T-Wave from Mana Zap. That's a trade that could happen. Just taking the damage on Zapdos while you can get it. And the other thing is if Markup Zap gets paralyzed, it can slow pass. So it can get something in again safely. Maybe one of the things in the back would do well. Like if Markup has Starmie, Zapdos gets paralyzed, it can slow past that. But I think Mana's very much inclined to T-Wave anyway, because Zapdos is the immediate threat. It's got a booster staring it down. It's threatening to just sweep with this Dead Blissey. Oh no, that sucks for Mana. That's really unfortunate. That's a crit, so and that we'll never see what Mana's gonna do. Guess it would have been T-Wave. So Mana goes to T-Tar. That still survives. Still survives one of them. Still survives the T-Bolt, but Zapdos can just pass it again to whatever's next in the chain. Very possibly Swampert with what we've seen so far. Like a mixed pert. Would make sense. Baton Pass, and yep, that's Swampert, and that is Double Edge, which is a nice play calling the unrevealed Swampert. But Swampert is not gaining leftovers, and well, this is a bit it's a bit interesting here. That Swampert's faster, of course, because it's timid as an Endeavor pert and not rash like a mixed pert would be. So it's faster than a double-edged T-Tar. And what I guess happened is that Marcop was able to run a calc to say safely, okay, this thing's adamant. After seeing the double edge, I can just sub up. I'm not scared. But I guess even if this double edged T-Tar is faster, then Markup's still got a Dug to follow up. He's very comfortable with. So while you lose Pert, which sucks, the T-Tar is dealt with because there's Dug. So yeah, maybe I'm overanalyzing a bit. But anyway, Swampert gets a sub up, it's faster. T-Tar double edges again, and now Markup gets to kill something with Hydra or Surf. Yeah, Mana chooses to sack Metagross over sacking T-Tar or Swampert. I think maybe he decided Tyranitar with double edge that did 52 to a Swampert, 52 to an Endeavor, I think would be Dragon Dance. So maybe if he's just thinking, okay, if I can find some way to boost this T-Tar by some miracle, or because of course Dugtrio showed Adamant and Bulk, so it's really slow actually. So T-Tar's faster than it at +1. So Mana decides, okay, I'm going to conserve T-Tar and just go to Metagross. The crit sucks. Well, actually, no, it doesn't suck. I forgot this one had the boost. That's just a whatever crit. So can Mana follow up? Has he got something faster in the last slot? Team's pretty interesting from Mana. It's hard to gauge exactly what the last is. It looks a bit like it's just basically kind of mixed defense. It's got this aggressive Swampert, DD Tar, modest Zapdos, but it's also just got this Calm Mind Blissey in the middle of things to deal with special attackers. I also think Calm Mind HP Grass is sort of there as a Swampert, as a way of beating Swampert. HP Grass Blissey is a bit of a surprise, so that's good, luring it for T-Tar. What is the last? Yeah, I don't know. I can't really get a good measure on things. Could be another sort of mixed breaker, maybe a Charizard kind of deal. I think it could be something a bit interesting. I don't think it would be. I don't think it'd be Skarm or anything, or a Spiker, because we'd have just seen that already. Yeah. So we'll see. It's got to be the last here from Mana, because that's the only thing you can do, and it's Breloom. So yeah, Breloom makes sense. That was a pretty logical loss there, actually. And Mac from Adamant should always kill Swampert at 23%. So safe. Dogs at 41 also dies to Mac Punch. Celebi at 20. I don't actually know if it can survive off the top of my head. I would guess it can, though, because it's Celebi. So, yeah, we're going to see Mac Punch from Mana here. Oh, no, it's Jolly. It's Jolly, oh dear. It's Jolly, and that 22 is a sort of mid-roll. It's not even a min-roll, it's just somewhere in the middle, but not the roll that Mana needed. So, this game is now very much over, because Swampert can just endeavor this part, and then Dugtrio can finish everything after that. So just talking generally about this game, it was obviously very, very one-sided. The crit on the Zapdos was a big deal, but also the Celebi against Blissey sequence early was just really, really bad for Mana. Mana's team is definitely very, very weak to Celebi. Calm Mind past Celebi. There's no good way of dealing with it. Especially this Zapdos isn't raw. And if it's Giga Drain, it's really threatening T-Tar as well. So it's just really awkward for Mana to deal with the Celebi in general. And as it was, he was forced to lose his Blissey early. Blissey's such a crucial mon against this archetype, with the Zapdos and the Calm Mind users. So yeah, the Celebi Dugtrio sequence, well designed sequence by Marcop, sucked for Mana. Very, very strong team matchup. Yeah, we've seen 2 games so far that were sort of very much one in the builder. So we'll see what comes in game 3.